Ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, welcome to the FightersRep podcast, episode 12. I'm your host, the FightersRep, joined by none other than Gary Ignorant Behavior. Martin, Gary, how you doing, my man? How we doing this week, bro?
I'm doing good. My 49ers stump out the Cowgirls, and UM loses. Florida State still undefeated, so I'm good, man.
Oh my God. You're the most confused Miami person I ever met in my life.
I'm not confused.
I don't know whether to acknowledge that or to get upset or turn this off, but we're just gonna keep this thing going. I still love you, Gary.
Love you too, George.
And the point of this episode today, Gary, I wanted to talk to you about Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou. There's not a ton going on in boxing right now. We had a couple good fights. We had one good fight overseas, Leigh Wood versus Josh Warrington. It's not really something the American fans are really going to be into, but it was a great fight that I loved. We also had Sergio Ramirez taking on Joe Smith. Sergio Ramirez getting the win. Again, these are guys that are not really at the top of the division, but close to it. So nothing major going on in boxing, but I'll say the next major, I guess, fight you could call it in combat sports is this crossover fight. Tyson Fury, heavyweight champ, one of the best to do it. Definitely the best right now, in my opinion. Taking on a guy in Francis Ngannou, who might be the best heavyweight in MMA. And I say might be because, Gary, if you told me, hey, George, put your money on either Francis Ngannou or Johnny Bones Jones, I'm putting my money on Johnny Bones Jones. But Francis Ngannou, big, powerful guy, big puncher. What's your take, Gary, on this fight, man? What do you think about this fight?
I mean, I think about all these crossover fights and all these type of fights like this. I'm gonna watch it. I mean, it's entertaining. It's entertainment. It's fun. But really, you're watching to see how bad the MMA guy gets beat up, or how good can he really do against a boxer. Because the chances of them winning are slim to none. They're not gonna win.
Right.
And I think Tyson Fury will probably carry him for a little bit. I mean, like you said, he has a puncher's chance, but that's about it. I mean, I know he's working with Tyson and he's probably getting more, but you can't. Some of the bad habits he has that you see in the cage, you can't get rid of those in like a year or two or so. You know what I mean? It doesn't happen like that. And Tyson Fury is just light years ahead of him. And I think what a lot of them find out when they actually do step into box from MMA is like it's a different type of conditioning, a different type of tired. Like I think that with all sports, you know what I mean? Like if a boxer goes to MMA, they're gonna feel like it's different. Like, yeah, you think you're in shape because you box, but you go in MMA and you start getting kicked in the leg and have to tussle and wrestle with a guy and have to get up off your back. That's a different type of tire. You know what I'm saying? And for the MMA guy, and for the MMA guy to go in there and have to throw punches constantly, you know what I'm saying? Of course, you're moving and everything, but the work your shoulders, the amount that you're gonna have to work them and wear heavier gloves and just do that for. Some of these boxers can throw 100 punches around if they want. You know what I mean? So it's like it's a different type of tire. Like even me, I thought I was in condition playing football, but it's a different type of conditioning. It ain't the same as boxing. I threw up. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's just two different things. And I just think, I'm gonna watch. It'll be entertaining. I want to see just how, in a short period of time, how much better at boxing did Francis Ngannou make itself. You know what I'm saying? And if Tyson Fury's smart, he'll do what Floyd Mayweather did. Carry him a little bit, carry him to about like 7, 8. So other people who are novices or just don't watch sport casuals or whatever will think, oh, he had a chance. Let's see a rematch like they wanted to see Conor McGregor and Floyd. You make some more money.
Yeah.
But that's my thoughts.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. I hear you. I think the same thing. I think this might be similar to that Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor fight. If anything, I don't know. I feel like this is a lot more of a big deal for Francis Ngannou because obviously this is going to be by far his biggest payday. I would say Fury could probably still score a big payday like this, fighting Usyk, fighting Joshua, fighting all these
Yeah.
guys. I think this is a one and done for Ngannou. I think Ngannou probably gets beat up, especially if Fury like really turns it on. I think Fury will get him the hell out of there. You know what I mean? You there,
Yeah.
Gary, or did I lose you?
I'm there. I'm there. You don't.
Okay, you're there. You're there.
Okay.
So yeah, I think, man, I think this is an easy work for Fury. And one thing, the reason I wanted to talk to you about this is because me and you have had this conversation before, right?
Yeah.
Where, why is this kind of fight happening in the heavyweight division? Why aren't the heavyweights kind of figuring things out more? This is not the ideal fight right now with Usyk holding some of the belts, Fury holding a belt. You know what I mean? What boxing fans, at least the hardcore ones, and what the heavyweight boxing needs, I think, is an undisputed champ. I think that would be a big deal, and I feel like this fight is kind of like a weird crossover fight that's kind of standing in the way. A lot of this stuff getting cleared up. And I understand Fury wants the bag, Ngannou wants the bag, but this is not, in my opinion, this is not a competitive fight at all. And I agreed with you when you said he has a puncher's chance, and Ngannou punches very hard. But having seen some of the work he's been doing on the mitts and shit, like his boxing does not look good compared to a boxer's. You know what I mean? It just doesn't, you know?
Yeah.
And so I don't know, man. I think this is going to make Ngannou. I think what he did to himself when he left the UFC, maybe it helped him get this payday. Maybe he would have gotten it regardless. So I just don't think he did himself a favor when he left the UFC. I think he left a lot of question marks as to whether he's even the best guy at MMA right now at the heavyweight division with John Bones Jones being around. I think he's going to come get this fight. It's a big money fight. Congrats to him. I'm happy he's getting it. But I don't see how he comes back. I mean, he's going to get beat up by Tyson Fury. What does he do after that? It really hurts your stock, I think, because to a casual fan, yeah, it's boxing, but you still got beat up, bro. You're going to get beat up. You got beat up. And, yeah, I just don't think it's a good look for him, man. I don't know what I did here. There it is. But I don't think it's a good look for him, man. I'm happy he gets the money, but I'm just wondering what's he gonna do after this? He's gonna go fight at PFL. Who really watches PFL? You know what I mean? I don't understand.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about if you're talking about legacy, as far as like going down as one of the greatest ever, no, it doesn't really do anything for him. But if you're talking about, if you're talking about money wise, I would say, money wise, it does a lot for him. I mean, he's gonna get the biggest payday he's ever, probably more than 4 or 5 fights. If you're listening to some of the other guys who have went and done it, like Tyrone Woodley, he got in one fight or 2 fights with can't think of his name right now. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Jake Paul.
Yeah, Jake Paul. He got paid what he got paid in, like, I think they said 4 or 5 fights in like 1 or 2 fights or something like that. Yeah. So money wise, and then obviously Conor McGregor, he took years off after he made that payday with. I don't think it's gonna be as big as that. It's not gonna be as big as that payday, but he took years off. And he's never the same because he got the money. So
McGregor's situation is a little different because like he could go back into MMA and was still like good enough, to where people might have had, there might have been an inkling of hope that McGregor could still become a champion and still do stuff in MMA at a high level. I just maybe I'm
Well,
wrong. Again, maybe I'm wrong, but it's
well,
like,
like I
huh?
No, I was gonna say, like I said, far as his legacy, far as if you're just talking about strictly no money, just fighter, what type of great fighter you is, yeah, you can't prove yourself unless you're in the best fighting promotion out there. You can't
Yeah,
really prove yourself. Even if you go to Bellator, which you can sign a big contract with Bellator and go over there or do whatever you want to do and do that things, you're not proving that you're the best because you're not really necessarily going against the best. But far as money
yeah,
wise, I still think it's you still have a good chance to make a lot of money because some promotion like PFL that's struggling to fight get people. That's why they got Clarissa Shields and they got Sarah Marshall and stuff like that. They're willing to pay you some money. Bellator will be willing to pay you some money, so you can get
yeah,
money from wherever you want to go. So you can go to, and then like I said, he's gonna get more people knowing him, casual fans, just from doing this fight because there's a lot of people who won't know him, but they'll know him. They might know him for losing, but they'll still know him more. And then you can do the whole go to WWE if you want to, or whatever it's called now. I forgot what it's
I
called.
guess. I guess. I mean, I hear you. It's good for money. It's good for
Yeah.
money. But I just think, it's almost like for me, I guess it's a shame. It's a lost. His career for me seems like a bit of a lost opportunity. I would have liked to see him fight more in the UFC. I would have liked to see him fight Johnny Bones Jones. I'd like to see, he basically won the title and left. So I would have
Mhm.
liked to just see more. And that's where this sits a little weird on my soul. And then on the other side, you have Fury. I think he's definitely going to win this. And then, unless some miracle happens. Listen, because if Ngannou wins, it's the craziest thing to ever happen in combat sports history, really.
Yeah.
But, I don't think that's going to happen. I think Fury's going to win. It's a little bit goofy on Fury's part because he should have fought Usyk or whatever, but it looks like he signed
Yeah, they got
to
to
fight
sign it.
Usyk afterwards. So, it'll just be kind of like a speed bump on his journey to try to become undisputed. I just think it harms Fury a lot less than it harms Ngannou. And I don't know. I don't know. How do you feel about these crossover fights, Gary? I mean, I think
I mean, I
I'll,
think
like you said, I'll watch them. I'll watch them. But what are they? What are they doing besides, I guess getting the fighters paid? Like, what are they doing for the sport?
well, I I do think it helps boxing, and even listening to some people who were against it at first, and then they
Yeah,
sit back and they see the light that is putting on boxing. You have people who can fight on the undercards of these things and get more publicity. So I mean, while we don't like, if you really know combat sports, not just boxing but combat sports, combat sports, you kind of know the guy who's coming from one sport to the other sport. He ain't really got a chance to win that. But
yeah,
it's always something to watch, entertaining, and it brings more eyes to the sport. I mean, if I can do Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury, and then put some good fights, some good quality fights underneath it with people who aren't as known to the public,
yeah.
as much, you know what I'm saying? Or, even help some other guys like older MMA fighters who didn't get to cash in on the money that they're making now in MMA.
Now I
You know what I'm
like
saying?
the
Even
way
to
you're
help some of
thinking.
them a
Yeah,
little bit.
now I like the way you talk.
You know,
It's funny.
yeah,
I always preach this about the Paul fights, the Jake Paul Logan fights. I always
yeah.
said, put some up and comers on the bottom to at least try to benefit the sport and get them paid and get the money. So I love where you're at with that, Gary, and I gotta agree with that 100%. So I mean, I know it sounds to me like you probably think the way I do that Tyson Fury is probably just gonna win this quite easily. I mean, unless I'm wrong. I mean, what do you think happens in this fight?
I mean, I think it's quite easily. He plays around, gives a good show. He's a good showman. He gives. He lets him stay in the fight a couple. I think Francis Ngannou probably might land one or two here, not really effective, but or throw a hard one that gets blocked and gets the crowd a little bit like, oh. I think it might turn into a wrestling match a little bit when they lock up. But I mean, I feel like how Tim Bradley said is he's like, I feel like Tyson Fury is doing Francis a favor. Like, here's a bag. You can get a little. You get some money and whatever. And this is just like a warm up to get in condition for Usyk. Just warm up. Just get in condition. You know, get a little something right before you fight Usyk, and then that's it.
That's the other thing I wanted to ask you about. That's the other thing I wanted to ask you about. By the way, ladies and gentlemen watching of Knucklehead Nation, subscribe. Join the nation. Join us every single Monday with me and Gary at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Join the channel to catch Fighters Rep 20 on November 18th. You're not going to want to miss it. And get your tickets to Fighters Rep 20 at FightersRep.com at the beautiful Commerce Casino in Los Angeles. It's going to be an amazing event, Gary. We've already got something close to 16 or 17 fights. It's going to be wild. But I wanted to ask you, he may be using this as a tune-up for Usyk. Is this the right tune-up for a guy like Usyk that is a very, very capable fighter, man? I mean, do you think he should be maybe taking this a little bit more seriously, maybe taking on a bit of a heavier challenge to keep him warm and engaged and sharp ahead of a guy like Usyk, who may be, one of the best heavyweights technically out there?
I mean, he's still going to be sparring in the gym with quality fighters. You know what I mean? And even preparing for the Usyk fight. I mean, not the Usyk. I mean the dang, I can't forgot. I realized my head. Even preparing for this fight, the crossover fight, Francis fight. You know what I mean? He's still training. He's still in there training, boxing other guys that actually know boxing. You know what I mean? And not just some MMA fighter that, they play around with boxing but don't strictly focus on boxing. He's still training, getting some work in, and then it's like a sparring match with a big bag at the end. You know what I mean? And something fun. But I think he'll be. There's no excuses for the Usyk. If he loses, it's not because he didn't take it seriously or whatever like that. If he loses because Usyk was the better fighter that night, even though I don't think he loses. You know me, what my thinking. I don't think he loses. I think he beats Usyk. Like he's I'm just ready for him to hurry up and get this over with, and and get to the real fight that I want to see.
Yeah. I hear you, man. I hear you, and I agree with you, Gary. I think Usyk is a tough competitor. I think it will be a good fight, but I don't see how. Gary, can you still hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
All right. Well, I said I agree with you. I don't see how Usyk beats him. I think Fury's the man at heavyweight, but I do think it's the best fight to make at heavyweight. That said, Gary, and that said, ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, I'm really sorry. I'm gonna have to cut this episode of the podcast a little bit short. I'm dead, Gary. Disney World killed me. I need to take my ass to bed. This phone is dying. It's all messed up. But we're gonna be putting out a lot of content this week about the upcoming fight. Me and Gary are going to be talking about a lot of the fighters and to a lot of the fighters on Fighters Rep 20. We're going to be giving you guys more content. So, guys, be sure to stay tuned, subscribe, and join the channel. Gary, you got anything before I cut this off, bro?
I just want to know. So you're telling the Knucklehead Nation that in the crossover fight between you and Mickey won,
bro. Mickey beat my ass, bro. Mickey beat my ass, bro. I can't even see straight. I can't even see straight. Listen, I need a vacation. My vacation to Disney World, man. That shit was crazy.
Mickey's undefeated. Mickey's undefeated, dog. Mickey's undefeated. Oh man, I guess we lost George again. Let me see. Hmm.